Hello, everyone. I'm glad to be with you here today. It's the 9th of September, uh, 2024 at 2:14 in the afternoon. Uh, this is the next segment in uh, our Dragon Bigfoot series. Um, for a long time, things mellowed out for Carol and I, uh, we had a pretty almost average life. We could go to town when we wanted. But Mega was our friend. We used to go and eat there, and there at table, on our kitchen table. We sat right there at the table talking with him all the time. He he was a very kind and gentle dragon. But let's be clear here. He's like twice the size of baby. Okay, he's got so much magic with him. He actually spark like sparkles shoot off of him, and he's very intelligent. This thing, right? So I'm up on my years. I'm 80 years old. I got some health problems, right? Carol wanted me to go back and live with Elizabeth in town where we'd get up close to a doctor. I said no. I said I'm gonna die right here. So it got down to a point where I was gonna die in the next couple of days. And Carol told Baby to go and get King and Kong because she knew they would want to see him me again. And so what? King and Kong are there. Baby's there. The White Wing is there. Right? I'm looking around and Carol's not here. So Carol went to see Mega. Right? And she came back and she says to King, she didn't tell me any of this. She whispered something to King, and King went over and scooped me up out of the bed outside the cottage and kept going into the back cave and brought me right to Mega's, right between his feet. Uh, I don't know what's going on, but I do know enough to trust these beings. And if it's going to be my last action, it's going to be one of trust. So I never said nothing. And uh, Mega, I remember he looked down between his feet at me. You see both of his eyes focusing on me and you know, what he did is he squatted down, put his head over top of me, and then wrapped his wings around me total. So you could only see Mega. You couldn't see me. Mega started to glow like the sun, basically. And when that light dimmed down, right, Mega stood up, right, and Roy his body was gone. Him and his body were gone. Carol was looking around for where's Roy, and I answered her. What happened was Mega, had all kinds of magical power. He brought me within inside of him, where things don't grow old and you don't feel pain and suffering. It's not heaven. This is inside the dragon's mind here right now. And uh, I was assured by my Mega that I could still die, but it'll be a while. He said. I said okay. So Carol could hear me. I'm looking. Uh, when I look around, I don't see Mega. All I see is the ground and Carol and stuff. And I see the arms and legs of Mega, but I don't see his eyes and his snout. No, I see my face in that. Strange feeling. I said to Mega, I said, do you trust me enough to bring me inside here like this? He goes, yes, I do, Roy. I said, well, what are my responsibilities here, being inside here now? Because I don't want to let him down. I want to do what he expects me to do. He says, keep me on the straight and narrow, right? Keep me company, and we'll go from there. Right? Okay. So I said, can you bring Carol in, like for a visit? He goes, no. He says, you come. He says, you don't have to stay. I can put you back, but I can only do like one at a time. One per dragon, he said. So I'm assuming Baby could do this for Carol. Right? And so it's a whole new world for me. I mean, I don't have to talk anymore. It's this spot, you know. I'm not getting hungry. I don't have to go to the washroom or anything like that. I don't have to clean myself anymore. I don't have to even get dressed. I'm just there, right? And my body's sucking in nutrients from him and staying alive. And he's doing all this for me. So I said, Megan, there's something you're not telling me. And I didn't have any idea about it. I'm more or less trying to bluff him, you know. I said, Megan, there's something you're not telling me, right? And I could sense the sorrow in him. I said, you've carried this long enough, don't you think? You've got to tell me. So he thought I knew more than I did, but I didn't. I was bluffing through the whole thing, right? But he says to me, he says, no, he says, you've been a good friend. I can open up my thoughts to you a bit more, he says. Deep within this cave, we've blocked it off right now, right? So you can't get into the inner sanctum of it. But in there it is a magical portal that's always open, always open. I said, where does it go to? He says, back to my home world. And I said to him, I said, well, you blocked it off for a reason, right? He says, yeah. He says, our world's been taken over by dogmen and by griffins. The two of them, right? And we had to get out of there. There were too many of them, right? But I said, there's even more of them than you are here now. He says, no. But then there was more. Now we're about even in the forces, right? So I couldn't wait to tell Carol this. Right? Well, Carol came up, stood right in front of Mega, and I said, Mega, I could tell her, but it's better if you show her. So he showed her everything that he showed me. Right? He said there's a portal there, and he says if they can't come through, we've made it so they can't come through up to us, but we can certainly see through the portal what's going on there. Right? First thing Carol says is, I want to see this. She says, I got to see this. I said, Carol, I said, they dropped the cave down in front of it so nobody can get in there. I said, I said, nothing's going to stop a Bigfoot. I don't care how much rock is there. They will get it out of there. They'll muck it out. And there's dragons as well. I said, well, we'll get it all out. Don't worry. We'll make a safe way in. But Carol and I both have to see what's going on in your world. We have to see this. You see, Carol and I, we feel we're responsible now for our friends. That we have to see to their safety. Because we always thought that the fear was coming from man, but No, men turned out to be friends of the dragon and the Bigfoot. So uh, I said to to Meg, I said, can I go and stand beside Carol? He goes, yeah. So there I am outside the body now, his body, right? But I'm mentally connected with him. We're still acting as if we're both living in the same body. If I suggest something to him, he'll go and do it. He's reading my thoughts. I'm reading his. I said to Carol, I said, we gotta go home. I'm hungry. I've had a big day. I said, I said it's hard to die. I said, but I feel fine. I was inside Mega. I feel fine. As long as I go back to Mega within 6 or 7 hours, I think he said, I'll be fine. I'm good for short johns. Went back, had a steak dinner, and we sat around. We made a fire there, and we in our living room. We're sitting around there talking, right? And meanwhile, the dragons and Bigfoots are digging that cave out. We've told them, no, this is important. I said to Meg, I said, we have to be able to see what's going on your planet. This is your planet, and you deserve to be there, not run off it. I said, right? So it only took them about a day. I could hear them. They were throwing huge rocks, playing catch with them, getting up, taking them out, and they had their way, okay. But the next day, baby comes and gets Carol. I could hear that. I'm the next cottage over, so I get up, and White Wing is there. We had fly into the back part of this cave, and there's Mega sitting right there at the start of the cave. I've never seen Mega come out of the other cave, but he's here now. And Carol, he says to Carol and me, he says, don't go through the portal. Always stay on this side of the portal, and don't be afraid. As long as they are on the other side of that portal, they can't hurt you. Carol says, that's good. Okay, I got to see this. So Carol's now I mean, she gave her armor to Elizabeth, right? And Elizabeth's watching our back right now, right? Um, but that didn't leave Carol without her weapons. She still had a sword that was just as powerful as the other one. When you become queen or up into the hierarchy, you get these swords, and they're unbelievably powerful. You get the shield, the sword, but Elizabeth had all the garb, right? But Carol, she was a different outfit is basically what I'm saying. All made of shining gold and stuff, you know. When she'd go near Mega would charge her up with magical power, and she would actually start to sparkle, you know. So, okay, we go in, Carol and I go in, right? And we're very, very careful here. We're not. I said to Carol, this thing may try and suck us into it, so we got to be careful. We pull up a good spot where we could see right through it, and we just sat and we waited, right? We saw the dogmen. We saw the griffins. A griffin is a lion with wings on it. He's got wings, right? Carol and I could see there was a whole pile of them there. There was a whole pile of them there, right? So we're filming this as we go in, right? We're filming this whole thing. So we get all the data we want, right? We come out, we tell baby well, we were going to get baby to close it with just by crashing it, right? But Carol had a second better idea. She says, I'll melt it down the face of this with my sword, and she did that. And it just sort of poured and then solidified like a hard rock over the thing, right? we go back to our place in the cave, and we're watching what we saw. Now, Baby and White Wing both shrunk down. They're in the living room with us, and we're watching this on our computers. And we're trying to figure out. We did an analysis on, now I know we can only see through a little bit of that portal, but from what we saw, it sure looked like our numbers were about the same. Because I said to Carol, I said, we didn't give the Bigfoot enough time to react last time. I said, this time it'll be a different story. We'll send the dragons out and actively look for them so they can fly back. And we'll be able to cover every Bigfoot in the country and have them back here within a day. So, we're thinking of trying to build an army. So, I said to Carol, I said, the numbers are too even right now to take this chance. I said, we could lose. I said, I'd like something with a little bit better odds to it. She goes, well, there's nobody left. I said, well, I used to be in the military when I was younger. And I knew a couple of people that were, one was a corporal and the other one was a sergeant. But now they're higher up in the ranks now. So I got a cell phone, and the cell phone's scrambled so you can't find it where I'm at. And I make the call. And I'm calling them from in front of my TV set with beings, everything there, right? I said, we need your help. He says, what can I do for you? Real obliging, like, right? I said, well, we know where there's a portal. Excuse me for opening this pop here, but my throat's going dry. He says, we know where there's a portal that goes to a world where there's dogmen and griffins. He goes, oh, yeah? He goes, yeah? I said, you're not fooling me. I said, no, that's the truth. I said, and you're talking to the man who, because he knows me, this guy. I said, you're talking to the man who has been friends with the dragons and the Bigfoot on this continent. He goes, we suspected that. Was that you? I said, yeah, that's me. And he says, well, what can I do for you? I said, you got back projects, right? He goes, yeah, we do. He says, I'm not supposed to talk about it. Well, then don't talk about it, I said. But there's a battle going on in the world where the dragons world. And the dogmen and the griffins are on their planet right now. They ran them off, but now they're strong again. And we can add the Bigfoot factor to them. But I've done the research on this. I kind of think that even at that, it's about even. And we need your help. We need your help so that we can tip the side. He says, well, what does Earth get out of this? I said, have you ever seen a dragon or a Bigfoot? No. I said, if you did, you'd know. You get their friendship, and they're going to take care of you and your planet on every country, not just one continent. I said, these beings are very loyal. So he says, I want to see one. I said, that's not a problem. I said, don't bring any guns. You can come alone. If they even sense there's somebody else other than you there, they won't come, and your trip will be for naught. And come this Saturday night. I think it was a Tuesday. I said, come Saturday. We do it Friday and Saturday night, but Saturday night both the boys are there, right? And baby's there. We still do this at the back of Elizabeth's house, right? So we only did it at the back of Elizabeth's house because the military guy wanted to come, and we didn't want to show him where the cave was. Okay, so They're sitting around the fire again, right? He sees all this extra food, bushels of stuff, right? He says he's starting to get worried now. And he sees the tree going in the background like this. I said, don't worry. I said, these things are like 12 feet tall. I said, they're 4 feet taller than the ceiling in this room. I said, don't worry about it. They're on your side. And so King and Kong step out of the bush like they've done a lot of times before, and I could just see his eyes opening up. And as the King and Kong are walking on, I'm talking to the general. I'm saying, now imagine about 1,000 of these beasts charging you, and you got air support from the dragons. I said. And he's going, yeah, I get it now. He says, you don't want to make enemies with these beasts. You want them to be our friends. I said, exactly. And they are a good friend. It's not a one-way relationship here. So, he says, what do you need? Well, I said, this portal's about 75 feet wide and circular. Right? It's big enough for Mega to get through this thing. It might be bigger than that, probably 100 feet wide. I didn't measure it, right? Because even Mega can get through this thing, and Mega's huge. Crunch his wings down, put them like this, and just walks right through. I'm sure he could do that. I said, whatever you can get through that hole militarily, we need. I can see his mind going. He says, um, I said, well, look, I've got to go and talk to my friend, who was Mega. He didn't know anything about Mega. I said, so I asked Mega, I said, this all went on over a week. Next day I went over and talked to Mega. I said, Mega, I said, you can magically bring something to the cave? He goes, yes, I can. I said, can you bring lots of stuff to the cave if I want it? He goes, yes, I can. He says, what are you thinking? I said, well, we can't take your world back with just your dragons, our dragons, and the Bigfoot. I don't think we have enough. But I've contacted a friend in the Black Projects, and these guys are Green Beret and stuff like that. They're hard-nosed people, right? But they want to bring their ordnance here, but I don't want to show them where the front of the cave is and show them my home and Carol's home and I don't want to show them that. I just want them to be poof right here, and then they drive in through the tunnel. I said, can you do that? He goes, yeah. He says, then that's a smart idea. We can get help, and they won't. See, he's always worried about giving up the location of that cave. That was always number one on his agenda, was to keep that hidden. So I said, okay. I said, Megan, just let me get back to my friend. So White Wing flies me to the back of Elizabeth's place. We make the call, and he shows up, and I said, okay, it's on. I said, you congregate. You congregate in front of some place. Get whatever you want. If you think a tank will go through, you go right ahead. Whatever you want, okay? And Mega told me, he says Mega never leaves the cave. I think it's too hard for me. But he left this time, and he flew over top of where the general had all his men lined up and all the tanks in this big, huge parking lot. This is all what he needed to fight that war. And the Air Force was there. The Marines were there. I mean, anything you could go through. There was no water, so the sailors weren't there. But there were Marine pilots there. When it came time for the planes to go through, they flew through there. Mega helped them do this, like a machine gun, right? So, I said, Mega, I said, we're going to get your planet back for you, come hell or high water. And he looked down at me and he said, Roy, you're a good friend, he says. I said, you have no idea. I said, you got a lot of friends. You tell all the dragons and Bigfoots to work with our guys. Okay? And to stay out of the way of when they start firing those weapons, get out of the way and let them fire their weapons, I said. But back them up if they need, let them go first, back them up. If they need your backup, you'll see it and then you can give it. But let them go in first, I said. So, yeah, here we go. Carol went through first. Brave woman. She went through first with Elizabeth and then me. Right? And we're standing about 10 feet into this portal. I'm looking left and right. And I could see them on the far left, over that way. I could see a whole pile of them, right, making noise. And so Carol gave the okay. And when she gave the okay, what happened was we stepped aside, and the dragons all flew through there. So they came out of there. Now, you ever seen bats come out of a cave? This is the way those dragons came up through that portal, right? And then when the dragons were finished and going through, then the Bigfoots, they lined up like army men. You ever seen a Bigfoot run? They're so fast, it's crazy. And they were running full speed through this thing. It only took maybe 15, 20 minutes, and we had all our forces there, right? We went through first, and then Mega sent the humans. We protected the front of the portal, and then we sent the humans through, right? They went through with everything they had, and the general set up his defense perimeter, and they started moving out until they got resistance. And then that's where the fight was. These men were brave, but they've never fought beside a Bigfoot. Right? So I said, okay? I said, some of these Bigfoot are going to get on the back of a dragon. I said to this one corporal, I said, when you see him do that, I said, you get on the Bigfoot's back. So there's the dragon, the Bigfoot, and then you with your armament. Right? And the three of you take off. Now, you got power, you got flight, you got armament. I said, you got 2 rifles on your back. I said, and a rocket launcher across your lap. I said, get on that guy. He's never done this before, right? So, but as soon as the sergeant did this, and it was really good because when one dragon did this and let everybody on him, the other ones would follow. They'd boom, boom, start landing. The Bigfoots would scoop some guy up off his back because he'd be standing there with all his gear. Scoop him up, grab the gear, give it to him. Okay? And that guy would become the pilot of the Bigfoot. And the Bigfoot would steer the dragon. And they became a unit. Right? This battle started. It started small, I gotta admit. A couple hundred each side. Boom, boom, you know. But our dragons, they were just in the First World War, the Canadians had good penetration because what they do is they lay a barrage with their cannons. They shoot like this and lay a barrage in front of their infantry, and they'd move the barrage like that, and the infantry would just follow along behind the barrage, right? Well, that's exactly what the dragons did. They would use their flames and just make a wall out in front of the Bigfoot. Now, when they did this, you couldn't go in there because you'd burn your feet, right? But the Bigfoot would wait, and they'd make a path through it. Like they take a branch and go like this and clean it right down to the ground, and then they go through there, right, like that. Better to do that because then the enemy wasn't there, right? You could just easily make a path rather than fight. But these griffins, they could fly. So the dragons took them on, and the dogmen were pretty well against the Bigfoot. Now, the humans were on. Some of them were on the back of a Bigfoot, whether they were walking or on a flying. They found out the better place to be when you're fighting these things is on the back of one of these guys. So a Bigfoot has long hair. I saw what these guys do. They take hair and they tie it together and make like a stirrup on the side of a Bigfoot, and they put both feet in that, right? And they had, you know, the belt. They have 2 or 3 belts and go right around and hook him on, and he wouldn't fall with that. He had his legs strapped to the hooked in underneath one of those horns that are there, so he was locked in, and he could go like this anywhere he wanted, right? Um, he had a good spot on the Bigfoot. He had a good spot on the dragon if he wanted to sit. These three made a good trio, you know. I even saw one time when the Bigfoot went like this and took the man, and as the Bigfoot jumped off, he put the man where the Bigfoot was sitting. Bigfoot went and killed this thing that was a griffin that was gonna attack from the side that we never even saw. And then the Bigfoot came back, put the guy back on the back. Man, they worked together perfectly, seamlessly, right? Now, these big dogmen and the griffins, they've had a long time to gather their forces. There were lots and lots and lots of these things, right? But the difference for us was the human contingent. They had weapons that were effective on both of these things, right? The planes came through and flew, uh, and then well, there was this huge aerial battle, right? But the planes couldn't come back when they ran out of fuel. They had to crash, right? But they usually crashed and the guy bailed out, and that's usually what happened. Now, the dogmen and the griffins, they finally got all the forces. There, man, they were everywhere. There were so many of them, it was ridiculous. I thought we had a lot with Bigfoot and the dragons, but compared to these guys, we didn't have a lot. And even with the human contingency, there was still a lot more of them than us. So, Mega, Carol, Elizabeth came and encouraged Mega to join the battle. So Mega came through the portal, and when he got on the other side, I've never seen anything so magnificent in my life. This beast he had, when he stepped on the outside, he went like this with and opened his wings right up, and he has a screeching roar is what I'll call it, and you can see like his body starts to light up red like it's flame, right? All the way up through the center of his body, starting to glow red, and if he's got his mouth closed, the flames will come off the top of his head like this. But when he opens his mouth, man, the power that comes off this beastie is unbelievable. I could not imagine even that much power. He, when he did that, all the dogmen and all of the griffins, they turned and they saw, and they turned, they tried to go towards Mega, right? Now, uh, it started. I remember it was starting to stink. We were cooking dogmen, right? So we didn't retreat. We just moved over so that we had the high ground. Now we're looking down, and we had like about 70 dragons, all pointing their flames down the side of this mountain, either side. They couldn't get up. We had a good spot there. So finally, I see in the distance their forces starting to separate I'll bet. Who do we see coming? The king of the dogmen. He's 3 times the size. He is about almost the size of Mega. Almost. Mega's bigger. Right? And he's coming, and they're separating, and they're getting all excited, and they're separating. He's coming, right? So then a big tall griffin came behind him, right? And they opened their forces up, and they walked right up to us. This is where Mega and Carol and Baby and White Wing and me, I was there. We all lost our temper. We all got mad. We attacked them right away. We didn't wait. These beasties were very tough. You could stick a knife in them and they wouldn't even feel it. Carol, she was instilled with this magic shield, right? So one of them made a mistake of grabbing Carol, but the shield repelled his hand like this. And just as he did that, I let him have it with my, I had a rifle, right? I let him have it, emptied the whole clip right into his face. He didn't like that too much. It didn't hurt him too much, but he didn't like it. And but the thing is that I never knew what the goal was. Was the goal a planet? You know? Mega stood up, worked his wings, and made it look like he was going to fly, but he didn't fly. There was something coming off of his wings that looked like bright white light, and it just beamed straight forward. When he went like this, it all went forward, and it hit these 2 kings of these beasts, and basically just melted them. They evaporated right in front of me, down to nothing. That changed the whole concept of that war. From then on, we had them running. Yeah. These special forces, they had a thing that you stood on. It was about this round, and you stood on it. You could fly and and shoot with. These guys. They were brave. They never stopped fighting or retreated ever. So went on for about 2 weeks. I had to go home and take a rest and come back. It was still going. Right? Well, finally it died out. Carol made it through, because I lost sight of her a couple of times. I was really worried that something's gonna happen to her. But I knew she was on Baby, and Baby would die first, rather than let something happen to Carol. Right? Finally met Carol, and we took Baby and White Wing, and we flew over all the area, and we saw. Oh, there was a couple of them that we missed. And Carol took care of them with her sword. And Elizabeth she finally caught up to us, because she was fighting on the other side, and she came to see how her mother was. 3 of us are flying along, and we're saying there's more dead here than you could shake a stick at. Right? All of the dogmen, all of the griffin that came to this planet are now dead. Every one of them. Mega killed so many of those beasties. He was really something to see. He really was. We're saying to ourselves, well, we got all this manpower there, right? And they were then ordered to try to bury as many bodies as they could. In other words, about disease or whatever, right? Trying to clean the planet up for them, right? So Carol walked up to the portal to come home, right? Now she's the queen of the dragons, said what she says goes, right? And she's standing at the portal looking back out on the planet of the dragons. Now normally Carol would call the dragons, and they'd all come, every one of them, right? But this was her world, their world, and Carol wanted them to be in their world. So she didn't call all the dragons. She just called Baby, and Baby didn't want to leave her. Baby came through the portal with her. Now there were a couple of dragons left in the cave, couple, right? But not very many. And Mega was still in the cave, came back with us. He was still in the cave with us, and I had to go back into Mega. I was starting to feel weird. He says, "No, it's time, right?" He put his wings around me, and back he went. Back I went. Immediately, I started feeling better, right? And so I said to him, I said, "Can Carol do the same thing with Baby?" Mega says, "Only if Baby wants it." I said, "Carol, ask him." So Carol could do this with Baby eventually. Baby because Carol's getting up in her years too. We're gonna live forever in these dragons, and that's the reason why we still see dragons, but not very many of them. They're here, they're there, maybe a little bit, right? And the same thing with the Bigfoot. There used to be a lot more of them, but now we just see a little, because most of them stayed on that planet to help them rebuild and bury all, you know. They're coming, the Bigfoot are coming back to this planet, but slowly, and not until their job is done on this other planet. So, Mega was always non-trusting of humans. So I had to say to Mega in a joking way, I said, "Mega," I said, he goes, "What?" And I says, in my mind I'm saying this, I'm saying, "Do you trust humans now?" He says, "Yeah." He says, "Not all of them," he says, "but there's a whole pile of them just like you, good-hearted people out there." So, the general, I got a letter in the mail at Elizabeth's place requesting my appearance there. So I went to the meeting, and him and two other generals were there. And I didn't want to say a word while these two generals were there. I asked them to leave. I said to that general, I said, "They may have passed your security, but they haven't passed mine. Would you please ask these two to leave?" So they went out, and we had a talk. The general, he says, "That area that the Bigfoot are living in," he says, "Don't worry about that." He says, "That's government land, and now nobody's going to go in there, ever." I said, "Well, all those men that went through the portal," I said, "they got to come back here to where we are, only through Mega. If they try to walk out of that cave, they'll be killed." So he says, "I'll tell them, because they're still there trying to help, right?" So eventually, the the dragons, they got their world back. Oh, it didn't quite look the same way as it did when they left, but they got it back, and their numbers are up now, right? And they got friends from the Bigfoot now. Some of the Bigfoot decided to stay on the planet with with the dragons, and that's why you don't see a lot of Bigfoot. That's where they are. Mega just, when there's a clan comes to them and they want to go, Mega puts them through the portal. That's where we're at right now. Uh, I said, "Mega, you can sleep tonight." Good. He says, "Yeah." He says, "I don't sleep." He says, "But all this is kind of all this craziness isn't good for me." He says. So, Carol came back. She passed out in her house. I just fell asleep in my house, and we would work out of there, go back and go in and make sure things are being okay. Carol was worried about her dragon's world. She wasn't just going to give it to them and then back away. Carol went in there and she took charge. Uh, I just have to say this one thing, okay? There was a time in the world just after the battle stopped, right? And I landed with White Wing. Baby landed with Carol. Now, Elizabeth, she landed with this other dragon. That was something to behold, right? The three of us are there. And Carol raised her sword. When she does this, everybody stays quiet, right? Well, there was a couple of Bigfoot, and a couple of dragons acting up. So baby just stood up like this on it, and the fire comes out of the north, and he screeched over, and these other animals, they just whimpered like this and got back in the line. Baby ran that clan through Carol's authority. That was really something to see. And Carol knew that when she stood with baby, she stood between the front paws, almost touching his belly because he's sitting right. That's where she'd stand. Yeah. So that's where we're at right now, and that's where we leave it. Um, and Carol and I are back at the house. It's raining. It looks like rain. I think it's just dripping off the ceiling, uh, but it looks like rain. And there are sunny days in there from the lighting that the dragon gave, and rainy days, just like outside. It even snowed in this cave, but it didn't pile up. It when it hit the ground, it melted, but with snow coming down. Um, that's where we're at right now, and I sure hope nothing else happens because I've had enough for one life. Thanks, everyone. Uh, and may God's good grace and by the overflowing love of Jesus Christ, and the guidance and support and protection and the joy that the Holy Spirit puts on you, we'll all meet each other in heaven down the road. Blessings, everyone. Mega health for all. Bye-bye.